Okay, welcome back. And our guest, two of them in the U.S. is Oludare Manidoti, a medical practitioner, and he's a convener social rehabilitation, grace and support initiative. He joins us via Zoom. Thank you, Dr. Manidoti. And in studio here, Hilliard Etta. Quickly to come back to you on the press in the U.S. there. You're also observing, the youth, that whole swathe. Give me the general impression that you think, with those you are interacting with, especially from the point of view of this social rehabilitation, concept. What's their attitude to all of this? President Tinubu has won that election. We saw the amount of support that was coming from diaspora, the U.S. not excluded. So what, in your estimation, is the attitude of the youth in the U.S. on this matter?
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. There are two sections of the youth. There are some that understand the problem, and there are some that understand the noise, which is what I don't understand how they understand the noise. But those that understand the problem, they are happy, they are excited. They like the fact that President Bola Tinubu has carried out all these salient, difficult but necessary policies. However, there are some also, on social media that they are just willing to believe anything. So when you don't have a standard, you are going to have confirmation bias. They post things without thinking and verifying or even scrutinizing it. Intellectual, what's called curiosity is almost zero. But from the real good people who are, smart people who have been interacting with, they understand all these things. They know there is nothing there. They understand the fact that a lot of people don't even attend their graduation. They understand the whole thing about credit hours. When they look at it, they just see it as a shame that Atiku is coming to drag Nigeria to the mud, because the fact that this is an issue is, I'm sure, appalling to everybody in the United States, like the citizens of the United States who don't understand Nigeria. Because you are trying to tell me that one paper is more important than the record of all the exams that you took during the years that you spent in that institution. Is that what you are trying to tell me?
Very interesting. They're now not speaking about he didn't even get a degree from CSU because that can't be done anymore. Evidence, there's been testimony to we were in school with him. I even contested student union politics. His transcript shows that he was an excellent student. So they've let go of that and are now, majoring in on forgery. Which I have heard lawyers say, Festus Keyamo was saying the other day in one of the papers that, well, he who alleges must prove. And so in his considered opinion, and a senior advocate of Nigeria, he did use maybe on one level, excessive language, because borrowing from the Bible on that, and we're talking politics here, to the effect that, it was spotless, it was stainless, that kind of a thing. So, but let me ask you, you spoke earlier when we were talking about it, Mr. Etta, about people trying to claim the high ground.
Yes.
And you said you took exception to some of that.
No, well, you see, when Atiku came back from his expedition, unfruitful and illiterate, he said he was fighting for justice and he was fighting for Nigeria.
Yes, yes.
Now, Atiku will not have us revise the history of Nigeria.
How do you mean?
And what I mean is that Atiku served us as the vice president of Nigeria.
That's right.
In the 8 years that he served us as the vice president of Nigeria, he never fought for justice, neither did he fight for Nigeria. He made he said in his conference that when Obasanjo was taking over states in the Southwest, he asked him not to take Lagos State simply because he was a friend to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So he told Nigerians in plain language that the states were there for them to take and not to take. That is the kind of vice president that he was. Now, remember the privatization saga in Nigeria, where Atiku sold the aluminum smelting plant in Ikotobasi that was built for $1.5 billion for $125 million dollars. Now the paper.
Well, can one say that the person, the legal person, Atiku Abubakar, sold, or the country sold?
He was the chairman of the privatization committee.
So that's not the same as
okay.
Atiku Abubakar.
I concede.
Yes.
But let me tell you what his boss
President
said
Obasanjo.
after superintending over this country with him for 8 years. He wrote a book, My Watch, and on pages 31 and 32, volume 2 of My Watch, this is what he said about Atiku Abubakar. And I quote him, what I did not know, which came out glaringly later, was his parental background, which was somewhat shadowy, his propensity to corruption, his tendency to disloyalty, his inability to say and stick to the truth at all times, a propensity for poor judgment, his belief and reliance on marabout, his lack of transparency, his trust in money to buy his way out of all issues, and his readiness to sacrifice morality, integrity, propriety, truth, and national interest for self and selfish interest.
Now,
I did not write it.
Now that's in the public domain.
It is in the public domain.
And it is not on record that he has sued former President
He has never
Obasanjo.
gone to court to disprove this. I believe that this book is almost a decade in publication.
He has since gone back to President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, to seek his endorsement. You know.
Yes, for
whatever
failed presidential endeavors. So what we are saying is that this kind of a man, as described by his immediate boss, cannot take moral high grounds in Nigeria. He cannot tell us that he is fighting for Nigeria. No, Atiku is fighting for his stomach, and Atiku is fighting for his sponsors. I speak here today that Atiku is sponsored by people from outside of this country to destabilize Nigeria.
Well, you don't have that evidence, sir. This is the way you feel.
Yes, this is
the way you see it.
Because and Atiku can take me to court.
Well, Atiku, I think, will say that, come on, I'm a statesman here. You've just said, I have served my country, and that this is politics, and it's not the most gentlemanly of sports, unfortunately.
No, but politics is not an unpatriotic endeavor. It is. You cannot claim that because we are in politics, because we are playing politics, we must do damage to our country. Now,
Indeed.
Let me tell you how we can do damage to this country. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to serve out his term, whether they like it or not.
By the grace of
If
God,
God has ordained him to be the president of Nigeria, and I believe that God has done so, now he will serve out his term. But because you have robbed this country, you have put the country in the mud, every Nigerian that lives in Nigeria today will have to answer the kind of questions that are unpalatable because a man seeks to be the president over every other thing.
Yes, let me ask this question of Dr. Manidoti. What do you think about that point that has also been made that former President Atiku, in going about his right to, the way he has gone about it, has not necessarily painted the country in the best light. And this will be reflecting on Nigerians and his country, Nigeria, that didn't have any part in this. Yes, there will be political opponents in the political season. People say horrible, terrible things. But at the end of the day, do you think there's a segment of the diaspora in your neck of the woods that are saying that all of this is overkill and it is not helping us? So how patriotic can one be if one is willing to go to this extent for a domestic political dispute back home?
Thanks, Okieri. Wasili Abubakar, Atiku Abubakar, is known to be unpatriotic, and this is on record. There is a man called Jefferson J. Williams, who was a congressman from New Orleans, that was jailed for corruption that he perpetrated alongside Atiku. An FBI undercover agent drove a businessman to his house in Potomac in Maryland. There is also the case of Ali Burton. The oppositions have said they want to go and get Freedom of Information Act, 2,500 pages of documents on the president. I will also file my own Freedom of Information Act requesting whatever they have on Atiku, FBI, whatever FBI has on Atiku, so that I can get it and submit
Yes.
it to the Attorney
Okay.
General of Nigeria to
But it's
investigate.
important. It's important to also state that Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar has not been convicted of anything in the U.S.
He was not even accused. They called him. They wanted to call him for interview. He refused to attend that interview. That is
Yes.
why I said I was going to get the commissioner, give it to Attorney General, so that he can probably look at it.
And so you can't talk readily to the charge of corruption. You spoke definitively. You can't really speak definitively about that, can you?
You said it was unpatriotic.
Yes,
and
yeah, I spoke about patriotism and then also the image that gives us that our former vice president, while on duty, was also being in the mix of this particular corruption case.
I get you.
But it is not proven until it is proven.
But his associates the vice president's associates, close associates, were convicted, I think is the point that you're making.
Yes, the associates of the vice president's men went to jail. All the vice president's men went to jail, but not him. So unless we investigate it in our own...
So it means you probably agree with Mr. Etta, who is saying that he can't see why the high ground will seek to be claimed by people who have this kind of history. And that
he does not have the moral authority. Wasili Abubakar, Atiku Abubakar, does not have the moral authority to challenge the integrity of the president.
In your opinion?
In my opinion. He was even mentioning Ganifa Wemi. This was the same Ganifa Wemi that said in 2007 that berated President Obasanjo for turning a blind eye to Atiku's alleged mismanagement of the Petroleum Development Fund. I'm pretty sure the moment he
all of that is a matter of public record. You're very right.
Yes, it turned. I'm pretty sure Ganifa Wemi turned in his grave when he heard Atiku mention, he's trying to invoke his name for credibility. The charade that Atiku brought to the US will make them look at us as maybe unintelligent people because there is no there. This does not make any sense. The fact that this is an issue in Nigeria is laughable. It is very laughable. If someone went to school, this university is telling you he went to school, are telling them he did not go to their school. Like, who, out of what authority, who are you? Were you there in the university in 1977 when he went there? People have come out that were classmates with him to say, you even saw his yearbook. You saw his face there.
That is why...
Did he look like a woman?
Okay, that is why the president's lawyers and many APC supporters are just saying the whole Atiku Abubakar saga in this regard as laughable is one of the words that have been used. That what is this? I think you thought that personal hatred cannot be discountenanced.
Yes.
Also,
yes.
Because to ordinary people, it just doesn't bear any reason.
Yeah. You remember when he told us that Asiwaju did not, so even though Asiwaju ceded the platform of our party, the ACN for him in 2007, he alluded in his press conference that he never supported him.
It was a different narrative.
So you see, in 2014, when we had our convention in Lagos, Asiwaju also did not support him. So for him, it's a personal thing. You get, it's a personal thing, and I sympathize with him. But the truth of the matter is that all of this is distracting the president. You know, a lot of people will say, oh, come on, the president is going to... It is distracting.
It can
because
be very,
we are supposed to be talking about reforming our police force, reforming the educational system, reforming...
All of which are works in progress.
Of course.
Because he has started. He has started all of this.
And yet you have all of this.
And then you're introducing all of this into the narrative.
Yes. Everywhere you go to is whether the CSU spoke the truth or whether Atiku is the one. Atiku, if you put Atiku, 100 articles, and you put Mr. Carl Welbeck on the matter of the CSU, I will take the registrar of the school. You see, but you see, because of social media, and I have said this over and over again, except the social media is regulated, just like the media that you belong to, the mainstream media is regulated. The next generation will come out indeed poorly educated.
Indeed.
Poorly educated, because most of our youngsters today resort to the social media for information.
That's where they get their news from.
That is where they get, unfortunately, this is where they get their information from. And it is replete with falsehood and people, downright lies.
People are actually just swallowing it as the truth, because
every time you call for the regulation of the social media, they talk about, you are attempting to curtail freedom of speech.
Exactly.
There is a difference between freedom of speech and the regulation of the media, because there is no freedom that is total.
Yes, doctor.
If I can step in, social media regulation has been something that I have been so much invested in for a very long time.
Okay.
And this is the way I feel it is best to control it. You see, we should not control what people put on there. There's freedom of speech, but there's no freedom of reach. So the way to control social media is to make it a subscription service. Let social media usage be an economic decision. So that, and then you now bring accountability into it. Because, Uncle Yori, if I insult you in person, you can sue me. So if I insult you on social media, it should be easy.
Indeed, it should be easy
to get justice.
But it isn't.
Yes,
it should be easy, but it isn't,
so that
unfortunately.
You can bring, yes, the government needs to step in there, make it a subscription service. It is very important. Because what social media does is it uses its algorithm to target us. So it will elevate the loud and stupid voices, while the small, circumspect ones are kept underground.
Well, when
so need to make it a subscription service.
Yes, when errors are put out on social media as truth, I mean, you will see it all the time. All that it takes is for people to verify. It's so easy to verify stuff that you have on social media, but unfortunately, the most improbable stories are out there, and the authority that people will provide for the lies that they're spewing about is that I saw it on the internet. But there are also reputable organizations on the internet. The youths will not cross-check the rubbish that comes to them. It's very human, perhaps. We just like the salacious. Now check the fact that somebody was born with 3 legs in a Lasamaja. That arrived in your inbox. Check it out, please. See if any other social...
we like to quote statistics from China.
Yes.
But we will not... nobody will accept to do what China has done to the social media,
As you know, a number of them are banned in China.
Oh, yes.
China...
You see, even the TikTok that is Chinese, there are certain things that you cannot publish on the TikTok in China.
Yes. They say the TikTok in China is different from the other TikTok.
So you see, we are a developing country. We need for us to revive our culture, revive our development, we need to curtail some of the things.
Because it is alleged that the youth of today has a very limited expansion, what is it now, concentration span, that if you can't hit him in 15 seconds, you've lost him. And so, that's an allegation.
When we were growing up,
that's an allegation.
When we were growing up, we grew up as human beings. We could have been like them. But we went through a different process.
Indeed.
That expanded our concentration,
And standards were different.
Yes, and today we can concentrate far better and far longer. It does not mean that our youth cannot do so too.
Well, let me quickly take this call from Alaku call. Mr. Ladimeji, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. How's everything?
Please go ahead. Yes, thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead, please.
All I want to say is that, you see, the rubbish Atiku Abubakar is doing up and down here is like trying to put another thing on Nigerians abroad, because all this going up and down, looking for what did not lost, I don't see anything there. Instead of him to accept defeat honorably and go back to his Dubai to go and relax there.
Okay. First of all, you said the rubbish. I would rather say his efforts. But sorry, you are not me. I'm not you. But I understand you when you say what you say, because a lot of people might feel that. However, we have to be a bit circumspect in what we say. He clearly believes in what he's doing. his lawyers, who you can't call unintelligent people, must have assured him that there is a pathway in where he is facing. And so we have what we have, which is very, very unfortunate. But thank you very much, Norman, nevertheless, for calling in from Alakuko. That's another Nigerian who is very angry. There are a few of them, more than a few, but I think this whole thing has put itself along the political lines where people are taking and are running with facts. You won't believe it. What they should be interrogating.
And you see, one of the things that I have found very perplexing is that you will see otherwise very decent Nigerians come on television and call the president names.
Well,
I saw a television program where Mr. the bearded guy, the bearded lawyer, called the president. Farotimi. He said the president has a lifelong career in crime.
Well, that has been addressed by the regulatory body.
You know the truth of the matter. It has been addressed by the regulatory body, but it has not been addressed by the president. You see, the
president is not going to respond.
No, you see, I know the president. I know him very well. I know he is not bothered about all of these things. But you see, citizen Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is different from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And when people make those kinds of statements, it does not only offend him. You offend some of us who are ready for what the country needs to do for the black man. And so when you see these kinds of things, these people must be taught a lesson.
These are different.
You cannot come to the public space and defame a man.
Well, you just said it. You grew up in different times from, the people, a lot of the people, unfortunately, that we have. Well, Doctor, any last words? We have just a little time left. Did you have any last thoughts that you wanted to leave with us on this whole matter about the incessant challenge of the saga of Tinubu, CSU, and Atiku Abubakar?
Yeah, what I want to say is that, President Tinubu has been, unduly and wrongly, vilified on social media and all over for a very long time. Something that is so undue, things that he's so innocent of, they keep accusing him of it. But what he has done is he has stayed above the fray. It's unfair. That was the reason why I got into the campaign and I started participating on my own accord, on my own account.
All right, we're gonna have to leave it there.
Because yes, sir. Because it is. I believe that the president, the president said he was not even checking social media at the point in time. We need to regulate these things so that we can improve the level, the quality of the people that we are raising.
All right,
that is what I want to say.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ludari Manidoti, US-based medical doctor, convener of social rehabilitation Grace and Support Initiative. Thank you once more for getting up this early, as far as you're concerned, in the US, to be on our program. And well, Honorable Etta, it is, you said it all. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for coming on this morning. Thank you for having
and so
me.
that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.